Like it is literally all about the humans at the end of the day. Beyond that, the tools are only a mechanism to get you to serve humans better. So do not get obsessed with the tools. The tools are not the thing. The person beyond it is the thing. We get it. You're busy. You want to grow, and we want to help. You're passionate about your craft because it deeply matters to you. Your faith is important. It's your foundation. At Stay Forth, we coach leaders to avoid burnout, live and lead with clarity, purpose, and from a place of health. We want you to experience long-term impact. Welcome to the journey. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We are more than halfway through the summer, which I hate to break it to you, but for some of you, you're like shopping for kids' school supplies and thinking about the fall and really diving in. And so before we go further in this H2 series, I want to remind you of resources, not just because I wrote them and our team has produced them, but because they represent what we are working with coaching clients every single day to go through. First of all, anti-burnout. Several of you have reached out saying that this is your summer read, which of course I'm so grateful. Some of you are listening to my voice in the car on Audible with this. Guys, this is not a book. This is actually a coaching resource and a coaching pathway. If you coach with me, you know these are some of the exact same questions that I utilize with you regularly. Some of our best tools we've given away there. We're super proud of that, and over a year old, but this is your time right now, especially if you want to replenish the summer for anti-burnout. And a special thank you to those who have passed the sabbatical journey on to people who are on sabbatical. So if you're on sabbatical, we are cheering you on, and we really hope that this has been a great resource. So we just want to remind you of these resources that we've got for you. They're easy reads. They're short. I have some chapters that I call toilet reading because they're 2 or 3 or 4 pages long. Right before bed, you can read them. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say there. Toilet reading, Jonathan, not for the content, but for the length. I got you with that one.
Toilet reading. I love that. I immediately thought of a book. Well, there's 2 books that are like the guy wrote them specifically as toilet reading. One's called What's Your Poo Telling You, and then What's My Pee Telling Me. Sorry for we have derailed. This is leadership coaching, and we're talking about toilet reading. So shameless plug. Go to Amazon.com, pick up Anti-Burnout, and you can read it on the toilet.
That's how much we love you, is that we are taking it directly to you in your moment of relaxation on the toilet.
When we say we come alongside you, we will come alongside you, whether you're on a trail or you're just needing to be in the bathroom.
That's it. That's how much we love you guys. We are here for you. Digest this information wherever you are.
It's hard to believe we're halfway through summer. I don't know where it went. It seems like January was yesterday, but I was just in the store and it was like the minute 4th of July is over with, it's like they snapped our fingers and everything summer related leaves the stores and you're immediately flooded with back to school, winter clothes, hoodies. And I'm like, it's 100 degrees outside.
I know. I saw the first commercial for back to school. Julie and I were watching a show and it was like, get your back to school supplies. And we looked at each other like, no, personally, we're having an awesome summer. We're having a blast. We've had great family time. I enjoy, kind of working at 70 to 80% capacity. I've been able to go home, a little bit earlier. And some days it's just taking the kids to the pool. I'm training pretty hard for some long hikes that I have coming up. And so I've been kind of dialing up the physical exercise part of it. So I don't know where summer is landing for all of you. But instead of just, oh man, I have to cram everything in the summer, we just want to invite you to think about some of the things during this series that maybe, just maybe, your life gets a little bit too busy for. And as the fall approaches, we just want you to think about these things differently. So these are all wildly important topics. Where do we get them? They come straight from coaching conversations, straight from podcast feedback. And we're not just flinging these out of midair, kind of like anti-burnout. Like these are topics that we have wrestled and grappled with ourselves. And I do every single week with coaching clients. So Jonathan, what are we diving into today?
It's actually a really good segue talking about, we laugh and joke that you go out in public now and stores are filled with, stuff for fall and going back to school. And it's everything is transactional. Like go buy this, go buy that, do this, do that. And we live in a world where people are viewed as items and things that can be leveraged. And which is really what we're talking about today versus relational leadership versus transactional management. And how can we, like, one, what's the difference? What are we talking about that? I'm sure some people are scratching their heads right now, but what's the tension there? And in the face of leadership now, like, why do healthy leaders need to look at the people that they're, serving and overseeing as relational as they can versus just a commodity to be leveraged and like pushed to increase the bottom line?
Today, I'm going to start with a tale of two groups. One called Business Networking International, BNI. These groups are everywhere. You may have been part of these, and I've poked my head in some of these. Never been part of a paying chapter, but here's why I haven't: because they are very transactional. The way they're set up is out of scarcity mentality, and it is, we are going to get more leads at any cost. And I don't think it's evil. It's just not for me because I lean more on the relational side of things. So again, not bad. Are leads in business is good? Of course, we need them to continue to impact people and to feed our families. And so that alone is not, but it's how the relationship is caged makes me feel weird when I walk in those spaces. Now, I think about maybe something that I host here in a co-working space in Colorado Springs called Co-Harbor, or something that maybe I invite a friend in to share about, groups that I get invited into to speak in other places or here in our city, fire pits that I host. We cage them completely differently, where we say, Jonathan, tell me about you. Who are you? What do you love? What breaks your heart? What is hard for you? What do you love doing? What are your hobbies? What would you love to unlock in the next year or two? And we start with Jonathan, and then we move on to, is there any way I can help you? And I was just struck by the difference in these. As I walk into the room, you could, tie me up, whatever, throw a burlap bag over my head and drop me in one of them, and I could tell you which one I'm in immediately because they just feel differently. You're right. We live in this transactional culture. And how do we fight for relationship in a world that is moving, I would say, more and more toward consumerism, more and more toward transactionalism, more and more toward technology? We actually have to fight for relationship.
Well, yeah, I mean, people follow people. They're naturally going to do what's been set in front of them. I think you've heard this quote a million times on this podcast now. Like Carly Fiorina said, as goes the leader, so goes the organization. So whichever way you're headed, further towards health or unhealth, relationship building or transactional management, those that you're in charge of are going to follow you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so much of it is how we do it, guys. So again, um, do we want you to pick up anti-burnout? Of course we do. I feel like this is the best deal in leadership development, that we packed in a coaching resource into the price of a book on Amazon. But it's how we approach things. There's a way to do things and a way not to. And I'd say that it takes a while to find what that is in terms of leading a team. Do I need a team and everybody on our team to show up and do a role? Of course, we all have to show up. We all have to do our role. So don't hear what we're not saying here. There's a way to do it. And I actually think relational culture isn't about whether you are selling something or not. It's actually about, do you have trust with people or not? I think that's what it boils down to 100%. Is in a relational culture, it moves on the currency of trust. So what we're not talking about here is relational culture. You need, like, make sure you have beer out, in the lobby for mixers afterwards, and make sure that you have great snacks here, and make sure that you have team building exercises, and make sure that you get fun activities going on with team. Sure, that stuff's great. That stuff's helpful. It's actually about trust. It's not about sort of the culture building pieces that we've thought about maybe years ago. If you just throw a few tips and tricks in there of how to do it, it's actually hard fought trust, which equals hard conversations, sometimes conflict, sometimes clarifying conversations below that, ultimately fighting for the mission. And so again, we are very, very serious about our work, but we don't take ourselves very seriously. And I think that the cultures that I admire, the teams that I get thrust into, the boardrooms that I sit in, I can feel culture and I can feel trust really, really quickly. So again, it isn't about selling. It's actually about trust with consumers, with team, because sometimes you're going to need to say, hey, I know you may not know exactly where we're going here. I'm going to give you my best chance at this, but I'm going to need you to trust me. Can you pull in that trust favor?
You just said, I mean, you've sat in the spaces and tables you get to sit with boardrooms, executives, teams, and you're working to help create healthy cultures so that people can be healthier and high impact. How would you, if you're sniffing out the culture and the level of trust in a room, what are some of those characteristics, or I would say warning signs of a culture that's either heading more towards like a transactional side of things and the culture that's like shifting more towards being relational?
Great question. What gets celebrated gets done. So I listen for what are they celebrating at the end of the day? Did they think that was a helpful meeting if they came, stacked hands around a topic, and then moved a little bit in the direction or not? Uh, how quickly do people feel free to respond? Now, I'm not saying that everybody should just answer off the cuff, but sometimes I'm in rooms, Jonathan, and it feels like I cannot get any information out of someone here because I look and, oh, the CEO is intimidating. I was literally in a boardroom with this massive, massive property management organization in my city, and it was odd. It was an odd feeling. And to me, it says not everybody here is sharing what they actually think because there's fear. So that to me says that there's a lack of trust within it. I also love when they're just unapologetically themselves. And so maybe somebody's goofy, somebody comes in and goes, hey, everything all right with the family? I know you were worried about that thing going on or whatever. And so I listen for those little cues versus you come in and it's like, all right, time to start the meeting. There's this very kind of buttoned up approach and you can feel it. You can really cut the air with that. Maybe the last thing is that I like to hear affirmation of everybody contributing or of most people around the table to just go, hey, that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that in. Can we talk about that more? Versus just, it feels like I'm going to give my transactional comment. I'm going to contribute here. I'm going to contribute here. And it feels like I'm working with a bunch of individuals versus I'm working with this team that we're trying to wrestle down this one topic. And this one topic for us was how do we plan this amazing, amazing training that is incredible team building here? And I just thought, man, I'm not feeling the passion here. I'm not feeling the life here, and actually why we're doing this whole company-wide team training day coming up. So I've actually just been processing that myself because it did not feel like a relational culture to me, and it didn't hit all four of those markers.
Yeah, are the values that are written on the wall, are they carrying themselves out of the boardroom, down the hallway, into the offices, down to the receptionist desk, or are they just in a picture frame? Where it looks nice, it looks nice, but we get so busy about the next thing, we've just forgotten about that.
Yes. And let me be clear, you can do this in so many different ways. There is not one way to do this. So I wouldn't say that like we start with a goofy question, thanks to Quinn, with our team meeting every Monday morning.
Shout out Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn, we love the goofiness. You never know what's coming with that. And so that's just a fun way, especially first thing Monday morning to do it. I know that there's a team that gives away like these really, really nice bags or backpacks when you win a culture award. There's people that throw some like crazy prize together, or you have some ridiculous trophy thing that sits outside of your office. Like, I actually don't really care how it's done, but there it's how are we celebrating people there? If it's a gift card or just a shout out or, hey, we see you doing great work or attaboys. And so I think what's important to say, this is actually not about the technical aspects of how it's done. It's how it's intentionally done and how regularly it's done. I have just an interesting story. I'm working with one coaching client. I'm not going to divulge who, of course not, on that, but they need to release something huge to their organization that I think is really exciting. It's going to change the future of this organization, but people are going to feel a little bit taken back by it who didn't know that it was coming. They just can't share all the details. If you're a leader, you know that. You can't always share all the details. So the inner ring knows, and they're going to announce this to a lot of people, and some of them aren't going to know. we have done this the best possible way. I've worked with this client to say, okay, we got to do two things. We talk about communicating from context with clarity. From context, he's sharing, okay, here's how we got here. Here's our mission. Here's why this makes sense. Here's how we went about it and looking back. And then with clarity, here's what this means. Here's what has already happened. And then I think the important thing is he's also going to share, here's what we know and here's what we don't know. But we need you to trust us on the parts that we don't know yet. Can he guarantee that that goes over great? Of course not. But has he done an amazing job, the very best job he can, I believe, at crafting that, making sure he catches people up, giving them the context, and then giving them the best chance possible to just see that we've got this, we've worked really hard on this, we're going to cover all the details, and we're going to do the best possible job to implement this. So I'm super proud of where they're at, and that'll be an example of a relational culture that I believe he does this process well. Boom, trust levels are going to go up in the org.
The more that we can be even 10% more aware of where we tiptoeing into just transactional nature or relational, the more that we can be just a little bit more relational in those pockets, whether it's a meeting, whether it's in how we communicate, what do we bring to the table, will shift the needle for team culture and for healthy leadership incrementally down the line.
Yeah. And sometimes a tool will rub me the wrong way. And you know that, Jonathan. For me, technology, the fear is that it takes the relationship out of it. And so we have this task list that we can give to each other, and it just holds us accountable. It's a good thing ultimately, but it feels pretty crusty to just throw a task on somebody's list without actually explaining it or sharing the why. And so sometimes you need another tool to be able to utilize that. So we allow video stuff because we all have different schedules and different time zones even. So that makes sense for us to go, hey, Jonathan, I shot you a quick Marco about this. I will explain this in depth, why this is here. You let me know if you have any questions. So sometimes, friends, the tool can just feel like, man, maybe a text isn't okay for that. Maybe an email isn't okay with that. I sat with a leader this past week and he said, if we have two weird emails in a row, I always pick up the phone and call the person. And I thought that was just he's like, man, 3 strikes and you're out. And so if a client is like, oh, this is strange and this is strange, then I'm going to do this. And I'm going to actually brag on you here, Jonathan. We had somebody that couldn't get to something online for us and then left a comment. Somebody who loves us and is a fan of our organization sends us a screenshot. This guy's having a hard time. I say, Jonathan, can you reach out to this person? Reaches out and says, hey, not sure what's going on with this, but let me help you. And to me, that is care, that's hospitality, that's a relational culture, whether it's insider with our team or outsider. We care that that one person gets this one tool that can produce one level of transformation in their life. It actually matters to us that much.
Yeah, I mean, even if this person never does anything with us more than just, this is not a right, if, say they pursue some level of coaching or say they don't, that was a memorable experience, and this person even said so, and they will remember that long down the line, and they will probably be someone who's like, oh, I want to send someone their way. Just how you care for people will create raving fans of your organization, whether it be internally through your own employees or externally through the people that you serve.
Yep. And even if it doesn't, doing the right thing and saying that's what we do. Let me give you 3 C's that we believe are really, really important here to develop this relational culture we're talking about. First of all is curiosity. Secondly is care. Third is consistency. Real quickly, curiosity. What is going on behind this person's life that they would bring them to our organization, that they would want to buy our product, that they are having some pain point in their life? The curiosity piece to go, what's going on there? Somebody's behind that email. Somebody's behind that task list. Even if someone's angry, what's going on behind that anger? Curiosity. Secondly is care. Do we care enough, to use that example, to say it's not just a random comment online. It's a human who wants to access our tools, probably having an issue beyond it that we can help with. And we just want to show you we care. Thirdly, consistency. Right now, I think this is probably the biggest one that's lacking, is this consistency that breeds credibility. You want trust, you do the same things consistently. And people have grace. You can make a couple of mistakes, but if I tell people, hey, put your phones away at 9, and get ready for bed, make sure you get good sleep. And I'm texting people at 11:30 p.m. I'm emailing our team away on the weekend, like, we're going to get the picture that actually that isn't something that's a true value to you, and I'm going to lose credibility on that. So I think that consistency piece both holds us accountable and creates the culture that we truly want.
Question for you is,
Let's go. Let's go.
and this is rapid fire, you're not planning on this, but I was looking at these three earlier. Of those three, which one do you think is your strong suit right now? And which is one that you would say here's an opportunity to lean into?
Yeah, consistency has become a strong suit for me over time. It used to be something that I struggled with. I love spontaneity. And I think the hard thing for me, Jonathan, is when we have the season switch. My schedule is drastically different during the school year. And so I find a summer consistency. And I would just say for our team, we're disconnected. No, not disconnected. We are spread wide across the country, different schedules, all that kind of stuff. So consistency is actually for me been something I have to fight the hardest for. Um, I care deeply for people, but I don't always see that behind that mechanism, I need to care for it. So this is one that I'm currently working on. I'll see my email list and think, oh, somebody's got a dumb question. And instead, I actually need to go, okay, Jonathan, you're laughing because you know the kind of people that reach out with the question of like, you need to click the link. And so I can get so frustrated at the person because I'm like, Jonathan spent hours creating this thing. Like, just click the stinking link. That's it, man. That's all literally all you need to do. But then I breathe and go, you know what? That's frustrating when we can't figure something out. I'm often the guy that can't figure out technology. Okay, and what's going on behind it. So I'm actually working on my care piece of that. I care deeply for my coaching clients, but sometimes I feel like there's so many other requests sort of eating at us that I need to keep that perspective that this person behind the screen, behind the email, behind the test, behind even the frustrated or mad that something hasn't worked for them, they're a human. They have dignity. They have a need today, and I hate having that same need as well. So that's me. What about you, man? What do you think you're strongest in? What are you working on the most?
Strongest right now for me is definitely curiosity. Is something I've leaned into heavily in the last, year. Just trying to really discipline myself in asking questions, not to the point of skepticism, but just saying, hey, what could this, like, what is going on here? The shifting the mindset of why is this happening to what could I do about this, or what's the opportunity here? So developing a healthy discipline of curiosity has really helped me. Care is someone my natural gift is just to show up and care for people. Oftentimes I can find myself caring on people more than really they care about themselves,
It's a tough place to be.
which is something I have to work on. Um, Consistency is the one that I'm working on, and I measure consistency as like it's the same across the board, and I have to realize that, as you just said, different times of the year, different even days of the week, that there has to be room for that to grow. I mean, we've talked about it. Like I have, it's hard for me to pull up from work sometimes. One, because I love what I do. I love the things what I've been created to do. But it's hard for me to pull up sometimes. And so, because I'll put that consistency is here and it's the same always. And so that's the place that I struggle in, trying to make sure that I'm curiously asking myself, how does this work? What does consistency look like now? And how can I build a better healthy rhythm for like a yearly or seasonal consistency?
We always want to move toward questions. So Jonathan's going to bring some questions here in a bit. But if you are in a human functioning organization, a human serving organization, you're in the service industry, you're in a nonprofit, you lead a church, like it is literally all about the humans at the end of the day. Beyond that, the tools are only a mechanism to get you to serve humans better. So do not get obsessed with the tools. The tools are not the thing. The person beyond it is the thing. And just that famous, I don't know whether it was, I think it was Maya Angelou, that is like, people will forget what you tell them. They will never forget how you made them feel. And that feeling piece to say, man, I was loved, I was cared for. And I just want to invite you with this. How do you move toward the other person and not away from them? Many have talked about conflict and conflict resolution. And the reality is, we can only solve conflict if we're moving toward a person. And curiosity, care, and consistency say, I'm moving toward you in this way. And some of you are parents that are like, my kids do not want to see me right now. My kids are frustrated with me right now. How do you move toward them? How do you consistently love and serve them? Send them that text, even if they don't send it back to you. That person who is so mad at you or your organization, you had to let go, whatever that is, how do you move toward them still? And curiosity, care, and I think consistency is a way to move toward people that eventually they go, okay, I can respect that over time. Not everybody is going to like or respect all of your decisions, but to me, that's about integrity, those big three. So really, how do you move toward people, not away from them, in the direction of them? I don't care whether that is your spouse, a friend, somebody on your team, a client that you're serving deeply, or somebody who just wants to sort of trash on you online, or somebody's frustrated on the other side of an email. I think it's really, really important for us right now to realize we actually are in the human-centered business. I don't care how good AI is. I don't care how good the information finding stuff is. I believe that as information has gone up and been democratized, that actually it's creating a huge vacuum on relationship. So this actually could be your competitive advantage. This actually could be why people trust you. And this actually could be what propels you into the future and past other organizations or past maybe some of the limits that you had on yourself. So I'm that passionate about it right now because relationship in our world is missing. We are in a loneliness epidemic. And it could be your competitive advantage in the market too.
Yeah. One last thought, moving towards relationship. I think this is going to sound really simple, but it is challenging. I think because we have so much information and so much technology and so many things, it's easy to lose sight that a person sent that email, or you're getting ready to sit down and you're going to address something with someone. There's still a person that you're addressing that with. If you have to terminate someone, it's not the thing. And we can tend to get so blinded by the thing that's in front that we lose sight of the person on the other side of it. And so I, in my own life and leadership, have had to remember that, like, hey, this email might seem like a silly question, but someone with a heartbeat sent that to me. And so I need to always be focused on someone sent this, someone is going through this. Let me check some of this at the door and focus on them and not the thing. So I'm passionate about it as well. So questions, guys, we always want to land the plane here and give you some things to think on. Don't rush through these. While you're driving out for a walk this summer, listen to them, write them down, come back to them. They'll be in the show notes as well. But just to leave you with some things to think on and be honest, how relational is your current leadership? How relational is your current leadership? And then lastly, who needs more of your presence, not just direction?
Friends, this will always matter, but I think it matters a lot right now. Summer's an amazing time. I hope you have some space in your life. We want you to sit with these questions, to think about these, and let us know if something is deeply resonating. You can always shoot us an email at hello@stayforth.com, hello@stayforth.com. Any thoughts on this, any questions, any further insights? We have some really exciting stuff coming for you in the fall, so I promise you this series is going to continue to deliver. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. See ya.